The day I was supposed to say I do, I almost said I owe. Because the man I loved didn't ask for my hand. He demanded my money. And when my father found out, he didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He did something far more dangerous. Welcome to my YouTube channel Whisper Stories, where silence speaks. My name is Emily, and this is the story of how I almost married the wrong man. And how my father, Martin, 53 years old, saved me not with violence or threats, but with wisdom, silence, and courage. I never thought my life would turn into a lesson about power, greed, and dignity. But sometimes, the most painful experiences become the ones that define who we truly are. The man who raised me. Before I tell you about the man I almost married, I need to tell you about the man who raised me. My father, Martin, has spent over 3 decades working in banking. A quiet man. Disciplined. Observant. He understands the language of numbers the way poets understand words. Where others see transactions, he sees intentions. Where others see money, he sees human behavior. Growing up, I watched him sacrifice vacations, holidays, even birthdays. Not because he loved his job more than me, but because he loved me enough to build a future without fear. He never raised his voice, never forced his opinions. He taught me independence, self-respect, and one simple rule: never let anyone decide your worth for you. At the time, I didn't realize how much that lesson would save me one day. When I fell in love, his name was Ryan. Ryan had that kind of smile that makes you feel chosen. The kind that makes you believe you are special, even in a crowded room. He worked in financial consulting, or at least that's what he said. He spoke confidently about markets, investments, and building a future. He made me feel safe. When he proposed, I said yes without hesitation. I imagined a simple life. Love. Support. Growth. I thought love meant building together. I was wrong. The first shadow. At first, everything seemed perfect. But slowly, small things began to feel wrong. At dinner one night, Ryan casually said, "Weddings aren't cheap these days. If you want something classy, you can't cut corners." I laughed politely, but something about the way he said it made my stomach tighten. Later, he began talking about money more often than our future together. Not dreams, not children, not shared goals, just money. I told myself I was overthinking. Love makes us excuse what our instincts try to warn us about. The demand that changed everything. One evening, just weeks before our wedding date, Ryan looked at me differently. Not with love. Not with warmth. With calculation. He said, "Emily, if we're really going to be together, I need you to give me $50,000 before the wedding." I laughed at first. I thought he was joking. He was. He explained it as an investment. A test of trust. A security for our future. But his tone wasn't loving. It was transactional. I asked him softly, "Why?" And he said something that broke something inside me. Because love is built on sacrifice. But love is not built on pressure. The night I couldn't sleep. That night I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, asking myself, was this what love was supposed to feel like? Fear, doubt, obligation. I thought of my father's voice. Never let anyone decide your worth for you. The next morning I went to him. I told him everything. He didn't interrupt me. Didn't judge. Didn't explode. He just listened. And in his silence, I felt more protected than I ever had. What my father discovered. My father didn't invade anyone's privacy, but he reviewed what was legally visible. Patterns, public financial behavior, transaction alerts. What he found made his expression change for the first time in years. Ryan wasn't struggling. He had multiple hidden accounts, repeated luxury purchases, unusual transfers, and worst of all, he was applying for joint credit in my name. Without my consent, without my knowledge. He wasn't building a future. He was building control. The quiet move. My father didn't confront him immediately. He didn't threaten. Instead, he acted through proper legal channels. Ryan's primary operating account was frozen pending investigation. No shouting. No drama. Just silence. And consequences. When the mask fell, the next day Ryan stormed into our house. Not charming. Not polite. Angry. Desperate. He accused my father of destroying his future. My father calmly replied, "You destroyed your own future the moment you put a price on my daughter." I stood behind him, and for the first time, I felt strong. I took off my engagement ring and placed it on the table, and I said, "If I have to pay to be loved, then I don't want that love." Ryan left and never came back. Healing is loud. That night I cried, not because I lost him, but because I almost lost myself. My father sat with me on the floor like he did when I was a child, and he said, "If someone makes you pay for love, they never loved you." The truth always surfaces. Later, Ryan's financial activities were flagged for fraud. Not because of revenge, but because lies always collapse under their own weight. I went back to school, started my own business, learned to trust myself again, and most importantly, I rebuilt my standards. Moral of the story: love is not a transaction, marriage is not a business deal, and dignity is not negotiable. Sometimes the greatest protection is not strength, but wisdom. And sometimes the most powerful thing a woman can do is walk away.